Well, hate to tell you this, you guys, but it's official now. We have not won this league this year. We're going to wind up in second place, 40 points after that draw that earns us 1 point. 40 points after, let's take a look and see if we can figure out how we did last year. The expectation was to finish in the top half, which we have done. We were in the top half the entire season, and they've given us 60% for performance. I don't really understand why Football Manager works this way or exactly how it's supposed to work. We look over into history. Let's see, we're not going to find very much from this, unfortunately. I'm trying to figure out where this is. If we go over here, I think to our own history, we probably will be able to see what well, you probably know this better than me. I probably should figure this out before I film the video. Anyway, I wanted to see really quick if I could figure out exactly how many points we had last season, but it's not quite showing me exactly what we look like. Here we go. So yeah, last season we had 53 points, 36 goals scored, and 70 goals scored, gave up 34. This season only 48 goals scored. Did a little bit better on defense, at least so far, giving up 23. We need to get a few more goals scored, though, underneath our belt. We only lost one last season, drew those 2 matches at the end of the season, and wound up with 53 points as opposed to the 40 this season. Most we can get is 46 if we win the next 2, which wouldn't be that far out of the question. Really wouldn't be such an awful season. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know if I can necessarily look at this and say that this season was a complete failure, other than the fact that we did not win the championship and therefore will not be going back to the Champions League in Oceania. Other than that, though, I think that it was probably okay, not necessarily too awful. You will notice here, though, that we don't have a lot of players here on the leader boards of just about anything except for Fawa Danielson, who has managed to get himself up on the average rating leaderboard, and, of course, Ikuvalu, who has still only 3 clean sheets. Speaking of which, we are going to criticize his last game and tell him that his goalkeeping was really, really poor. I think I've shown you this before. I'll show this to you again. I mean, he drives me nuts. We never see really, really good performances except in these matches back at the very, very... Is that the beginning of the season, I think? Yeah, it looks like that was probably the beginning of the season. If we go look at all of the actual matches, all of his good matches came way back then. And since then, there's been a lot of goals that have been given up, and there's been a lot of, not so great goalkeeping by this guy. This is a player who I believe is, with 9 caps. I think he is a current international. Maybe if the American Samoa national team would find somebody else, they could do a little bit better. I mean, a 6.6 average rating, giving up 21 goals. Not exactly all that great, 2.80 goals per 90 minutes with a really, really low passing percentage. Ikuvalu is going to stick around maybe a little while, but he's not going to be here for long. I don't know who to replace him with. I don't really have anybody in goal who's really good. I mean, we can go with Fauga, but Fauga also is highly inconsistent and is prone to injury. So, I mean, we could put him in there. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say exactly what it is we want to do. We could always put Atu back in. We have this problem again, though. He's not consistent, right? And we have a whole bunch of issues with this guy, another excellent-looking young prospect. Usually on a team, I would look at this and think, oh, we could get some money for these players, but we actually cannot get much money for these players because they're all on free contracts. So now you understand, too, why it is that I'm so interested in potentially having or going on to a team that's a professional, or maybe even getting these finances up so we can become semi-pro. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You'll notice, by the way, that when we were over here in the Champions League for those 3 matches, we didn't really get much of a boost. This mostly comes from playing a whole bunch of friendlies, I believe, and the fact that we have no expenses. So we'll see what happens. I do think that things will be okay here on the club as we continue with this club instead of moving onward. And just so you can see as well, in terms of the job center and different job applications, I think I have been officially refused for just about every job. There's one more left in Malaysia that we could look into. There is a job in New Zealand, however, and we might as well apply for that job and sort of see what happens. But I don't think that's really necessarily going to take place. And I don't know. We'll see what happens here. You know how it is. There's a whole bunch of other different places that we could go that we probably are not really going to get into, and that in many cases are not really that interesting to me. Again, it's really mostly about, can we get into Fiji or can we get into New Zealand, right? There is also this team over in Fiji. We might as well apply for that job as well and see if we can get into that. As I said before, I think it was yesterday, Vanuatu, really not that interesting to me. I don't know. Nelson Suburbs, is this a team that is professional? It's actually an amateur side over in the New Zealand Southern League, which is the second tier of New Zealand football. However, they are in the playoff this year. Maybe the playoffs are over. I don't know. Let's see if we can figure that out. Yeah, so they have finished up their time in the championship group, and so I guess that means that they're up into the playoff and potentially could go back to Central League. I don't know how this works. I don't know how this works at all in New Zealand, so whatever. We'll figure it out. Oh, here we go. There's the league table, and it's one of these with these strange setups. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't know if they'll let me in or not, but we'll apply for it, see what's going on, and see if we can get in or not. Something to potentially look forward to. My guess is that they're probably not going to go for somebody who's just coming out of American Samoa. But we've done pretty well, won a lot of matches here so far, so we might as well give it a try. However, honestly, for the foreseeable future, we're probably just going to be hanging out here and kind of going from there. So there you have it. We have lost the league officially, and we no longer have players who are scoring the daylights out of this league, and probably should have just kept playing with Maile. What do you think? Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.